Hey, everybody. Welcome to Work Should Feel Good, the show where your career growth meets your real life. I'm your host, Diana Alt, and today we're doing a little something different. My guest, Karen Spies, and I are both podcast hosts, focused on helping people create success on their own terms all throughout their life. So instead of a traditional interview, we're just going to talk about stuff that we've learned from creating content, building relationships, like working with people that are in that juicy middle of their life where they're trying to chase more purpose. All that kind of good stuff. I don't really know where it's going to go, except for we said we were going to talk about podcasting. Karen is a brand strategist, entrepreneur, and host of the Second Wind Women podcast, which I got to be a guest on some months back. She shines a light on women who are reinventing themselves after successful corporate careers. And she also helps nonprofits and mission-driven organizations clarify message and marketing. Welcome to the show. Or the conversation, Diana. Whatever it is that we're doing today. How are you?
I'm great. I am great.
I'm so very happy you reached out to me. I think that it's very interesting living in the age of being a podcast person because, number one, podcasters talk about their podcast all the time because it's a lot of effort and it's time consuming. Yeah. But also because of the number of pitches. Do you get a lot of pitches for your show?
I've gotten a couple. I keep getting pitches for Second Wind Women from people who are like, Bill is really amazing at what he does. And I'm like, well, that's great for Bill.
Is Bill helping women in the second act of their life? If he is, then cool. But what?
Even then, it's more, I'm more like highlighting women who are making a change and what the tipping point is for them making that change, etc. I don't know about, Bill belongs somewhere else. God love you, Bill.
Yeah. I have gotten a rash of people that they send in it'll be bad PR agencies. It's really what it is. In some cases, it's bad PR agencies trying to work on spec. They're basically have a brand they want to represent. They will go pretend to represent that brand or that person, try to get them on podcasts, and then come back and say, look at all the podcasts I got you on. You need to pay me now, which is just gross. But I've gotten to the point where if it comes from a PR agency, when I already have a list of like 50 people I want to talk to and it grows all the time, I'm not super interested. So, but I'm not getting, I interview men and women though. Like the way that my show works is a little bit different. So how far in are you? How many do you have in the can now? Or
40
out, whatever makes sense. However you want to answer.
Yeah. I got 40 up and maybe 10 in the can.
10, that's a lot. It feels good to have 10 in the can, actually.
It feels great to have 10 in the can, but I'm telling you, that can keeps growing.
What's going on? Like, why is stuff in the can not out?
Just because, my podcast is not necessarily making me money. It's not monetized, right? So I am actually, I have clients and stuff. I have, actually, non-chatting stuff that's on my plate. So, the first thing that usually gets put on the back burner is a podcast editing.
That's so interesting. One thing I get asked about a lot. Well, we were talking right before I hit record about how everybody wants to know downloads, subscribers. And I barely even know that because I think the motivation for me starting the podcast was maybe different than some people. What was your motivation to actually start the podcast?
I would say my motivation was, part of it was just to feel a sense of like, I always say like to inspire, highlight, and I forget what the third one is, like women who are going through this journey, right? So the whole crux, the whole story of how I started the podcast was actually like many years ago before I was
now we're getting into it. Yeah. Now we're getting into it because it's like, I don't care about the three things. I care about this story. So
exactly. So I was at a birthday party, like a 12-year-old birthday party, and it was one of the very last birthday parties that the kids do, because by the time they get older, they don't care about that shit
The
anymore.
last thing they
So
want to
we're
do is
at a
hang out.
park, and I'm sorry.
The last thing they want to do is hang out with mom and dad and auntie for their
and, well,
14th
and
birthday.
other friends,
Yeah.
they don't want the parents there, right?
Yeah.
So at any rate, we're there, and I'm talking with some of the other moms, and one of the other moms had just lost her job. And she's like, I'm 45, which seems so old at the time. And she's like, how am I ever going to find another job? She's like, how am I ever going to find another job? And I'm like, yeah, like it was a rash. There was like 4 or 5 different moms who were like, I feel like I'm about to get pushed out and I don't know where else I'm going to go. I've always worked in corporate my whole life. And, and so I was like, this is really a thing,
It is a thing.
It wasn't necessarily a thing for me because I've always been like an artist, entrepreneur person who's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this new thing. So it wasn't as much for me, but I could really see, I was having a new transition every, couple of years, just of my own, out of my own curiosity and craziness.
I don't have my parents worked the same places for decades, and they actually worked at the community college level as professors. And then they both were department chairs at various points in time. And I heard them all like so much talk about basically being a slave to the pension. And I've never had a pension in my life, and I've never wanted to be a slave to anything. So there was an incident a few years before my dad retired from the place they worked for a long time, and it just went south for him like right away. He felt like he got treated really poorly by administration. It changed how he saw everything, and he literally started counting class days because he knew exactly how many days, how many weeks in the semester, and the whole 9 yards. And like when he's 3 years out from retiring and he's counting class days for 3 years, I'm like, that is not a way to spend your life. So it depressed me. So you decided that was the seed that got planted to start the
that was
show.
the seed. And also like it's kind of, can you swear on this podcast? Do we swear?
Oh yeah, please.
Okay. It's kind of fucking lonely, when it's like you're hiring contractors, you're working directly with your clients and all like that. Like there's not a lot of like, there's no water cooler, there's no kind of camaraderie. And I was like, I know that there are other people out there who are doing amazing things. And I love connecting with people. And here I am like,
all you do
in
is
my
type
office.
all day. Yeah. When I decided to do the show, I had people encouraging me from like 5 years before I started the show. Like, you're compelling to talk to, you're a good conversationalist. I suspect you'd be good at this. And I was intimidated as anything about everything related to production. Like I knew I could have the conversation, but I always said, until I can just show up, I can decide who the guests are and show up and talk and not have to do anything else, I'm not interested. And I'm actually I won't say I'm 100% there, but I'm like 70% there. And I'm working on getting to be about 90% there. Because I'm doing a project with the VA agency that I work with. Because I want to my whole motivation is I want to talk to interesting people, especially the ones you might not otherwise get access to.
Right.
And then I wanted fodder for content. So whether that is actually, here's the, 60-second clips of the show that I put all over creation like we do, or it could just be pull transcripts, get ideas, write a blog, do follow-up YouTubes or whatever. That's what I wanted. And anything else is kind of gravy. But I tell you what, it shifted my business.
Oh, yeah.
It has. Because so much of my business for so long was job search focused. And which is fine. Like I help people with job searches, but I wanted to get more in the other 90% of people's careers. And also I've worked with more and more people that are like, help me find a corporate job, but eventually I want to be an entrepreneur. So I want to start something on the side. So I'm kind of orbiting that space too. And
Right.
I just said, that's where I want to go, because I like having deep, ongoing relationships. And just the podcast and the content I put out, since 80-90% of it isn't focused on job search, has shifted that. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine back in June when we were at a conference together, and I was like, this is changing and I don't know why. And he's like, it's the podcast. But like, I don't know what I did. You started a podcast, but there's not many people listening to the podcast. It's new and it's a long game. And he's like, you have clips everywhere. Like, it's the podcast. So,
oh my gosh. Yeah. I have to tell you, like, what you're talking about with like just showing up. I did have a podcast 10 years ago.
You did?
I had a podcast, and the production was a nightmare. It took me like 8 hours to finish like one episode.
Nope.
It was amazing. It was so great, but like I was tearing my hair out, literally.
That is a lot. What was your old podcast about, though?
Oh,
how long did you do it? Give me all the tea.
My old podcast was called Honest Talk About Adoption. So it was
Are you an adoptive mom? Or were you adopted?
Birth mom.
You're a birth mom. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was basically talking with people who had either given up a child for adoption, or a child who had reconnected with their parent, or all the different variations that happen around that. And the stories were emotional and they were incredible. And it was just like, it was the editing that killed me, which is sad because it was so great. And the reason I started it is that, so I reconnected with my son that I'd given up for adoption.
Oh, great. Okay.
And he and I went to one of these like TEDx talks. And there was a woman up there who gave a story, and she's like, I went to look for my birth mom, and then I called and left a message on her phone, and she never called me back. And that was the conclusion of her story. The conclusion was, but I have, family, the church is like my family. And I'm like, my son looked at me and he's like, what's wrong with that lady? And I was like, not enough people have heard, non-horrible stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a whole doozy of a conversation right there. We might do more on that, but
yeah,
I'm interested. What were you doing for 8 hours? My dirty secret is I don't edit anything.
That's my new dirty secret. Yeah.
Okay. Isn't it the best?
Oh my gosh. Not caring is amazing.
Do you still produce everything yourself? Because I have a team that produces, but they still don't edit very much. So
yeah, I mean, along with AI, I'll review stuff, I'll like tweak stuff. I produce it all myself. It's so easy now. It literally takes me like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes to get through an hour-long interview and have it like
I
ready.
Decided I don't care. I don't want to learn that stuff. And you pick up a little bit here and there, but I do the video. I record audio and video. So hello, people out in the world. I don't know what you're listening to, but I do audio and video. And for the video, I do nothing. Unless there's like I had someone one time, their internet was really unstable for like 10 minutes in the middle of the show. So we had to do a little surgery to that one. But I just do nothing. It's just like, here you go. YouTube premiere. I live stream it on YouTube, on LinkedIn. That's it. And then I recorded an intro and my team does that. My team puts it in Libsyn. And then more and more they're taking over like all of the promo, writing the promo. I wrote some GPTs and stuff, so we leverage AI in it.
Yeah.
But it's a hell of a lot easier, and I've gotten busier with other stuff, so I'm letting go. I'm very particular about content. Like, it doesn't need to be overly produced, but it still needs to be good. And I'm starting to let some of it be ripped from my cold, dead hands a little bit more easily, which is exciting.
I mean, yeah.
And they're we're trying to reduce their time spent too. I actually am working on a project to increase certain types of content Because I want to like start a LinkedIn newsletter. Basically, I want to do a blog. I want to do a blog post out of
Right.
each episode. I haven't been doing that, but we're working on that so that effectively I drop a video in a Google Drive and magic happens, and then tiny bit of editing because sometimes Claude doesn't do the right thing.
Yeah.
And
I
get
mean,
it out.
I make a blog post and a page on my website for every single episode that I do.
I do have
Yeah.
a landing page for every episode,
Mhm.
but to
Yeah.
me the landing page is about the episode and it has the links to all the YouTube, Spotify, whatever.
Mhm.
It has the transcript because SEO is a thing
Right.
and it's about the episode, but my approach to the blog post is going to be insight driven. So
Yeah.
whatever we concoct is like the coolest angle from this episode.
Mhm.
I would take the insights from that, which could just simply be like, here is what Diana and Karen thought about podcasting or how they each manage their
Right.
podcasts differently. Because nobody wants an email or a blog post that's just a summary of a podcast.
I mean, I
No.
send out a link to my list. I send a
I do
link. I'm like,
too.
here's the latest podcast. That's it.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
been working on trying to make that a little bit more.
We have matching cups, almost.
Mm-mm. Oh no,
Yes.
Buc-ee's,
Mine says
baby.
Grandma on it,
Oh,
but they
well,
probably
that's
got it
cool.
at
But
Buc-ee's.
my goal is to get sponsored by Buc-ee's at some point. And I don't really care. Like, even if they give me like a $25 gift card and I'm able to say for one episode that I'm
I
sponsored.
mean, Buc-ee's doesn't even sell their own stuff online. They use like a third-party person to sell their products online.
I got this in person.
Yeah, amazing.
I got this in
Amazing.
person. So when you and I were emailing back and forth about doing this episode, like you made a comment to me like your content is everywhere. And I feel like I'm doing stuff, but not that much. Like, what are you seeing from me? I see you pop up on my YouTube. Oh, LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Really LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad you see it. The algorithms don't always act kind to us.
Oh my God. Yeah, I you're talking about, visual versus audio. There was a woman who I interviewed. Her interview was great, but she basically ended up doing it from her phone and she did it landscape. And I was like, "Oh, for sure, the software will fix that." No, the entire interview had her like coming in from the right-hand
Just
side.
go for it.
And
Whatever
like,
works.
I ended up with I just released it as audio. I ended up with one clip before she turned the phone, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Man, I'm
Like,
sorry.
hang
sorry,
on. We're
girl."
just doing this. Yeah, I think it's so interesting because there's a lot of people that have so many opinions on, is it really a podcast if it's video? Should you
Really? People
like,
have opinions on that?
oh my God. Do you ever hang out in any groups or spaces where
There was a
people
thing last week. There was
Oh
a
my God.
whole like online podcast forum, and they had like I didn't have time for it.
You know
But-
what? I'm a business owner that has a podcast.
Exactly.
So I'm not a quote unquote podcaster TM. So that's my take on it. Who's a couple of the most interesting guests you've had?
Oh my gosh. It's funny because like I can be very cynical, but then every guest after I finish interviewing them, I'm just like so in love with them. I'm like, they're the most amazing person. I know that sounds so cliche.
That's the best interview I've ever had.
Oh.
And then
But,
you're like, that's the best. Yeah, you can have a 2:00 interview and it's the best interview you ever had and do another one at 3:30. No, that's the best.
That's the
interview I've
best
ever
one.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a woman named Kat Rambo, like Rambo the movie.
Cool.
And I
what
always
a
do
banger
like,
of a name.
right? I always do like a little pre-interview thing, and she sent me a pitch, and she's like, "I heal people with witchcraft and herbalism," and I'm like,
Okay.
"Okay, fine, let's talk.
We can do that.
Whatever." And then she showed up, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I have a degree in physics, and I ran an accounting firm for 10 years until I had a car accident and like a spiritual awakening. And I'm like,
I
holy
love
shit,
shit like
girl.
that. It's so
It's
good.
so, and so many people have a story like that. And you go to like, this is the thing that I love about podcasting. This will be a great clip. The thing I love about podcasting is you go and you meet somebody at a networking thing, and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, how is it? What do you do? And they're like, oh yeah, I help with financial services. Okay, great. That's fine. But if you go on a podcast,
Congratulations on your financial services career.
Yeah, but you go on a podcast and you're like, well, how did you get into financial services? And they're like, well, my dad had a gambling debt and sold our house
Right?
and we lived under a bridge for 6 years. And then you're like, holy shit, that's a totally different story,
Yeah. I love that. Usually when I'm doing like a regular ass interview, not just whatever it is that we're doing today, which feels different and I'm enjoying it. I spend the first few minutes a little bit on someone's career journey. So the way I structure an interview is most of the people that I've interviewed, I've known at least on some level. A couple have been introduced. I've had maybe 5 people that pitched me. And it's always like the person that pitches me themselves. So like weird PR agency with a bad pitch is a no, but the individual saying, I really think I'm a fit and here's why, can be a yes. But if I can find something wild card about somebody that I know they're not expecting to talk about, that's my favorite. So one gal that I worked with for years is a VP of data and AI for like a finance related startup. But when I hadn't talked to her in a while, so I go back to her LinkedIn and I look at it, and she will put any certificate that she gets. And she had taken like a wine tasting class. And she put it on LinkedIn because why not? So I like kicked off with talking about wine tasting. And she said, I've always loved wine. And my husband and I moved to Manhattan and we know we won't always live here, but that's such a, it's such a New York City thing to do, to take this. So we did it. And I love whenever I can do something like that. And then I like to talk to people about their career journey because I think the context is helpful. It's one thing to say, oh, this is a smart lady and she's, a VP of data and AI at this company. But when you find out she majored in English. She majored in English and got master's degrees in like research processes and measurement. And then went and was a psychometrician. Hi, Jennifer, if you're listening to this. Then she was a psychometrician. And then like now she's this technology leader. It's such an interesting and different path. I always find that so cool.
Is she your favorite? Like, who's your most surprising guest that you had that gave you like the biggest wild card where you were like, whoa.
So I wasn't, I feel like by the time I find out about the wild card and then like tie it to the person, it's not like it makes sense to me. It's just like, oh, that's who they are. But probably the one that's going to make the most people go, what? Is I have had 2 Survivor contestants on my show.
Oh, nice.
One is a really close friend of mine. I knew her for years before. And then I met the other one who I haven't released his episode with. I released his episode a few weeks after we're recording this. And I met him because he sells art. And he at one point was on Dr. Phil, because of a substance problem. And he was regarded as like this evil person, like this, manipulative human on Survivor, which I've never understood. I finally watched his season because I don't really watch it. Like I've seen like 3 or 4 seasons of Survivor total. And one was because after I booked Todd on the show, I said, okay, I'll watch your season now that you're going to be on my show. And then my friend was on one and I watched like the original one way back in the day. But like, that's kind of an interesting thing because he talked very openly about in his early to mid 20s having a substance abuse problem that damn near killed him. And he got, for whatever reason, ended up on Dr. Phil. I don't know if his parents called him or Dr. Phil's producers found out about him, but that's not a normal conversation.
No.
And I appreciate the openness. So, because,
Yeah.
you get somebody on a show and they're like, I damn near died. Okay, well, we can
I
have a
mean,
conversation about that. So,
when I do my pre-interview with people, I'm like, not that I want to not that I want you to spill your guts all over the page, but like people pay attention when there's drama, you
well,
know?
what was so interesting about getting him on the show is that, and it is one of my favorite interviews, objectively. Like when I went back through and was curating clips that, I have the AI clip tool, Opus Clip, that I use. And whenever I went back through and was looking at it, I was like, damn, we went there. Like there's some good stuff in here. But I asked him to be on the show because I had bought art from him because he does custom Funko Pops that it could be like Marvel stuff or Survivor contestants, or I order one of you. Like I could send a picture of you and be like, make
Oh,
my
I've
friend
seen
Karen
those.
into a
Yeah.
Funko Pop.
Uh-huh.
And I had ordered art one day, but a couple of years ago, and then was friends with him on Facebook since then. And then one day he asked people, hey, can you send me pictures? I need a little inspiration, or I'd love to see you with the art that I made for you. I sent it back. We ended up chatting, and I was like, do you know what? Like what you did is really cool. You did a bunch of stuff early in your life that the people you and I in particular have worked with, we feel like we have to be so perfect in corporate.
Yeah.
And if we do we can't like have an opinion in a basic LinkedIn post about our own industry without being in fear, or a lot of those
Right.
people can't. I'm like, you literally went on a reality show and ended up talking about a alcohol problem on Dr. Phil, and then had a little, career changes in the middle of that. And now you have this thriving business that's got a following. Like that's a story. And he told me after we recorded, he's like, I get approached like 3 to 5 times a week to be on a podcast. I tell almost everybody no.
Hmm.
And I came on your show because I knew we weren't just going to rehash the same stuff from 19 years ago.
Right.
We were going to have, plus you bought my art. Like I want to support what you did because you supported what I did.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of, like, I wanted to build relationships with people. Like, is he my best friend? No. Can I text him if I have a question about something? Yes.
Right. Right.
Who would be like a dream guest for you? Like, do you have any aspirations to have like the New York Times best-selling author, like,
I
people
mean,
anyone would know, or do you mostly like just the regular ass people?
I love, love how the regular ass people always have something behind the door that you don't know what it is,
Yeah.
you know? Uh, to me, that's so incredible. It's like, I remember years ago when I was like watching some old man cross the street, and I was like, thinking to myself, like, oh my God, I wish this guy would hurry up. And I'm like, he's somebody's baby. Like he has
Right.
like all these experiences that I will never know. And all of us
True.
are such like, such a like the experiences that we have and what sticks in our heads and how we interpret what has happened to us. I mean, I got a master's degree in Buddhist studies. This is like my thing. I think it's amazing the perception that you have of your experience,
The
because
older I get, the more I love the messiness of people.
yeah,
And
yeah,
what I really love is the messiness of people who don't let the mess stop them from doing things that they want to do. Like, might it be ugly and painful and take extra effort than somebody that didn't have the same kind of mess? Absolutely. But I just
yeah,
really enjoy um, being with, as a coach, I'm with people who are in their mess a lot.
right.
And which I'm going to have to make sure, like, we should put in our show notes, like my episode. We want to make sure, get you some extra watch hours. But
Yeah, yeah,
I just think the mess is so interesting because when I'm coaching people, a lot of times they're in the mess, especially if they got laid off after umpteen years at their job. And now they're
yeah,
like, what? I have to look for a job now? This is hard. This feels like rejection. And then I like when I see people coming out of the mess. I have a client right now that she's an entrepreneur in a different space than I've ever worked, but we just get
mhm,
along really well. And she has just a lot of stuff coming up that has been a blocker for her. And half of what I do is help her sort through, like, which of these problems is actually yours?
Right.
Like you've just listed 5 problems, but only 2 of them are yours. So let's focus on those 2 that are actually yours. And I bet the other 3 will start to resolve themselves if you work on the 2 that are yours. I love
I
that
mean,
shit.
I think we're talking about the same thing because, like, that woman that I mentioned, Kat Rambo, was talking about like the spirit, like how she had this crisis, right? And that totally shifted her life. And that's kind of the crux of what I'm talking with people about.
Yeah.
So, the mess is the last point in the story where you're like, fuck it. I can't
Yeah.
do this anymore.
I love the fuck it's. They make me happy. Like I'm just not putting up with this shit anymore. And I think we have like in life, we have like big fuck it moments and we have little fuck it moments. Like earlier this morning, I was over engineering something and I was like, I'm not doing this is dumb. Why am I spending this much time on this? I don't need to do this. I'm doing a webinar that I've done before.
Mhm.
I haven't done it in over a year, but I'm doing this in September. It's a resume webinar, and September is Update Your Resume Month. I figured, like, well, let's do a little lead gen in September. And I was looking at it and thinking all the ways it could be better. And I'm like, Diana, you get 100 people on your email list every fucking time you run this. So just change the dates. Just
Yeah.
just change the dates and tell your VA team to put it
Oh, you
in.
mean you were creating from scratch again when you already had a template?
I was looking at, I've changed some of my, I've slightly changed some messaging and like, do I want the same CTA and like all this, afterward. And I was just like, this worked. If I decide that I want to sell a discounted coaching call instead of this job search digital course, that is a button and I can decide later. I'm not doing it for 2 months. I can just send this off now and we can get it done. I'll be 95% done. So that to me is a small fuck it moment. Getting a promotion rescinded and
Ooh.
realizing you're miserable. I'm
Oh.
glad it happened because I would have stayed at this job that I was actually hating. But that is a bigger fuck it moment.
Right.
Your
Yeah.
husband dying when you're 34, huge fuck it moment.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
are good.
Yeah. Messy moments that make you who you are, It's like one of my favorite little cartoons. It's like how we picture success. And it's like an arrow. How it
Yeah.
actually is. It's like,
Yeah. And the spaghetti in the middle is actually the coolest part. If the spaghetti in the middle didn't exist, number 1, life would be boring. Number 2, I wouldn't have a job. And I like eating
Nobody
and
needs
living
your
indoors.
advice, Diana.
They sure do, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere weird.
Okay,
And
let's do it.
maybe we can't even do anything with this. Have you seen the Odyssey yet?
No, I have not. Although I did hear somebody say something about the Odyssey when I was waiting for you to let me in the room.
Oh yeah? What did you
Uh-huh.
hear?
I can't believe they cast so and so in the Odyssey.
Uh,
No, that was from a conversation earlier. Oh my gosh.
I wish you'd seen it because I could rant about that all day. Yesterday, I had a coaching appointment. I have a client that is a big Christopher Nolan fan. And so
Mhm.
we did like our coaching appointment. And I
Mhm.
had told her I went to the Odyssey and she's like, I think she said she'd been twice or she was going to go again.
Wow.
So we ended up spending 20 minutes just talking about it. I think that the
Yeah.
Venn diagram of
Mhm.
people that are mad about Lupita and the people that wear red hats for fun is a circle. So that's my
What's Lupita?
red hat, MAGA,
Yeah, I got
red
the red
hat.
hat. I don't know what
Yeah.
Lupita is.
Lupita Nyong'o plays Helen of Troy and
Oh, you're saying she's not a
Clytemnestra.
white girl? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. They're
Oh.
saying she's not a white girl, so it's a problem. She's not Diane Kruger. I think
How
that
many
that's a
people in the
circle.
Middle East at that time were white, right? In Greece. I don't think that was a thing. Yeah.
The biggest argument that people have, and this is where you go, like, this is where like media literacy, actually understanding context of the stuff they made you read in school is a thing. The biggest thing where I can understand some people being upset is they're like, well, Homer said she had white arms. And I'm like, guys, that is a class distinguisher. not a skin color.
Oh,
Because back then,
oh, right.
I'm like, there's something in this, and I had to go back and research it. But really, because there's language in there that says she has like alabaster arms or white arms. The context behind it was two things. Number one, she was considered so beautiful because she looked different than people. She was so beautiful, so almost like otherworldly. That's part of the context. But the other thing is that in that era, everybody had to be outside.
Yeah.
And she was basically royalty that didn't have to work a day in her life. Her job was to be the queen, was raised that way. So it was about sun exposure. It was it wasn't about melanin, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So, and I'm finding myself like nerding out about stuff I read years ago. And I started reading the version. What's her name?
I was going to mention
Elaine.
that the woman who
I'm
translated
reading
it.
Emily Wilson, I think is her name. Her last name's Wilson, but I started reading that translation literally just last night because I'm like,
Mhm.
it's time to bust this out because people just they don't understand much.
Man,
So
I
you
can't
have to
keep up
tell
with
me
them.
what you think whenever you finally
Okay.
go watch
I'll
it.
tell you what I think. I can't keep up with the movies. I heard that movie where people were Fathom or something. I heard that was really good too.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I
So I don't
don't.
I forget about going and then I'm like, why don't I go more often? So I'm going to Nashville for vacation next week, and they have
Oh,
one of those 70 millimeter IMAX. It's probably all full, but I'm going to see if I can get into, you know, maybe I'll go see it as Christopher Nolan shot it.
oh,
But
do they show popular? They do show popular movies as IMAX now, don't they?
yeah, the thing with this that I didn't know about this until like right when it was releasing, but it's the first film that was ever 100% shot on IMAX.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
How did they get
first
around
feature
that?
length film. First feature length film. Usually when people shoot IMAX, I guess they'll do like the big action scenes. And Chris Nolan was like, "Fuck it, we're doing the whole thing that way."
You got it. Might as well
And
use it.
even got IMAX to like build him equipment to address some problems that come up whenever you try to use those cameras because I guess they're really loud.
What's that
So if
one?
you have,
It's called like a phantom camera, a red camera. It's
I
like
don't know.
it shoots in like 6K. It's like a crazy, crazy
Oh
camera.
man, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah,
Um,
tech stuff.
what else you want to talk about? We beat the podcast to death, and you haven't seen the movie that I'm currently obsessed with.
Oh yeah.
What's going
Yeah.
on?
We did beat the podcast to death. We could talk about getting a job when you're over 40.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Do you talk to people? Does this come up a ton on your podcast with your guests?
It does. It does. People either they get laid off or they just, they get fed up and they know that they can't start over. And I would argue that after 45, like if you start over, you're not actually starting over. You have a whole
That part. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone needs to stitch that shit on a pillow because the career, like, I think a lot of that is a holdover from like our boomer, like our generations. You and I are about the same age, I think. I'm 51.
Oh no,
Um,
I'm 58.
Oh, well, your skincare looks good. So
Thank you.
we're
I
close
stay
enough.
inside
But
a lot.
like we're Gen Xers. So like
Yeah.
our mostly like silent generation, or for the youngest Gen Xers, boomers,
Right.
they still had this like work 30 years the same place, climb the ladder, get the gold watch thing going on. And so a lot of people that are in this age bracket of 45 plus thinking about this feel like they have to start over because that's how it was for a long time.
Right.
And
Right.
it was hard to move. And I like to say the career ladder is not a career ladder. It's like a rock wall. Because when you're dealing with a rock wall, number one, something I found interesting that I learned during the which Olympics did we just do? Paris. during the Paris Summer
Mm.
Olympics, they have rock climbing events in there. And I
Uh-huh.
learned that the rock climbing thing that you do to compete is called a problem, which I
Oh,
think is an interesting framing.
yeah.
Um, in certain rock climbing events, it's called a problem. And the biggest thing that people have, if you pay attention or you read about it, you have to, they literally build them so that sometimes you have to go down to go up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so if we think about like, if we're doing our career thing, sometimes you're going to have to go down and that's fine. And I think most people are resigned like, well, it's okay to go laterally. I can go from being a director of sales enablement to a director of marketing or something like that.
Right.
But sometimes you literally need to take a step back and it's actually a good thing. And so like, stop freaking out because if you're trying to climb a rock wall that's your life, you might just have to go like down one rung on that, go
Yeah.
down 3 feet out of the 90 you're trying to climb or whatever.
Well,
So
like if you've always had, you're familiar with the golden handcuffs, right? Idea, right? If you've always had like, oh, I just go in and I work on my stuff and I just pay for my insurance, health insurance and this and that and this and that, like if you've got it all dialed and then all of a sudden you have to handle all that stuff for yourself, then it's a totally different situation, right?
it is a different situation.
And I can
It's
think it can be really unsettling for people because they're
it can
like, I
yeah.
didn't realize it was this hard.
It's there's a couple contexts with that that's interesting. So there's one that what I find interesting is when people struggle with that and then they're like, fuck it, I don't want to go back to corporate. So I'm going to start a business. And I'm like, you think starting a business is easier than spending 6 months looking for a job and figuring out how to cover Cobra? Like, you're delusional if you think it's easier.
Everybody on the internet says it's easier, Diana.
The bots on the internet say it's easier, and too many
Uh-huh.
people are listening to
Yeah.
too much Gary Vee and Alex Hormozy, um,
Yeah.
both of whom I don't love.
Why?
Alex
Why?
Hormozy. So, well, Gary Vee is actually chilling out. Gary Vee is one of I mean, for a long time he was the king of toxic hustle content. And
Yeah.
I just can't even with the toxic hustle content. Alex Hormozy uses a lot of language that makes people feel stupid. And like he's done some cool stuff for himself, but I also know people that have been in the room with him. Like I have an someone I know through entrepreneurial circles that did a challenge and Alex was doing like the book launch that was the biggest book launch ever and my friend helped promote this
I
because he's got a
saw
large
that.
following.
I was there
Well,
for
one
part
of
of
the
that.
things if you
Yeah.
were one of the top people is that you actually got a mastermind day with Alex
Right. Yeah.
and he was apparently a jackass
Yeah.
at this. And my friend really liked him. So, and then I have another friend who has worked with Tony Robbins's team and like just some people that if you think about anything related to online business, the people that have been around for a decade plus and made jillions of dollars, she's worked directly with some of those people as a strategist. And yeah, Alex is not one of the ones that she loved. So just didn't treat people well. So I would rather be
Yeah.
around people that have closer to the size of business that I have and make less money. But yeah, it's not easy to start a business. It's the hardest damn thing I've ever done.
Yeah. And
Including
you
being widowed. It is harder than being widowed at 34. I don't have
oh
any children, so I suspect that would
yeah.
have been harder if I had kids. But because it's hard every day.
Yeah, and the
I
mirror's
like
right
it.
there
Like
looking
it
at you.
works for me, but I
Mhm.
like it. And you have to stare all your own faults in the face every day.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of them. But on
Well,
looking for a job, so do you have very many people that are talking about how hard it is that actually do want a job, or are they mostly saying, I'm out, I want to start something different?
they're 100% saying I'm out. I don't think I have anybody who has a job that they didn't
It'd be
create
really
themselves.
interesting. is to
Yeah.
put something on your calendar for like the Q3 of 2028 or 2029. Go back to your guests that swore they would never have a job again and they were going to do their own thing, and see how many of them went and got a job.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of them are established. I don't think I have any of them that are like fresh out of the gate.
But that's good.
Yeah. So,
That would be a
but
real fun conversation, though. That's
oh no, it sounds
should have.
sad.
No. But the thing is, though, it could help some of your people that are contemplating the move.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you
and
think
that's
about
one of
it.
them. That was the third thing. Diana, you hit it. You
What?
hit it.
Oh yeah, you had two things.
Inspire, highlight, and fortify.
Oh.
Fortify.
Like our cereal in the 80s.
No, like Winnie the Pooh. His fortification
that.
book. But like
Or that.
for people who are like, you know, I'm going into business for myself, and why is it this fucking hard? Is it supposed to be this fucking hard? Is it me? But if they hear the stories of other people who are doing that, other people who are like, oh, you know, all of my friends told me that I was stupid for doing this and I did it anyway and it really sucked, but here's where I am now.
How long have you been doing, because you basically have a digital marketing agency alongside your podcast. How long have you been doing that part of your work?
Since 2013.
Damn.
Many years.
How long have you been full-time in it? Has
Since
that been the whole time?
2013.
Okay.
Yeah, since 2013.
Because I knew when, like, I'm staring at your LinkedIn right now, and you have stuff on there that
yeah, I
looks
dipped out and did a
different.
job during COVID. I dipped out.
Yeah, people do that. So you were not the first and only person that did that. So I wonder if that was the case. That's a long time. I've been 7 years, which feels like a long time. And
What did you do?
like
I
yesterday.
don't remember what you did before you.
I was in tech for 20 years.
And when you say in tech, what does that mean?
I mostly I started my career in consulting. So I worked as a baby consultant for a firm that was doing a lot of IT stuff, because this was like right before the tech wreck of the early 2000s. But I was doing like low-level project management, business analyst work, like that kind of stuff. I had to learn coding because a lot of people that were my age going straight into consulting out of college were actually working on Y2K. They were basically making 2 bits into 4 bits or with COBOL. I had to learn some programming, but I did not do it that much early in my career. I spent most of my career in roles that were at the intersection of people, business, and technology. So product management, project management. I worked at a digital marketing agency for a while as an account manager, that kind of stuff. Because basically I see systems.
Right.
And I care a lot about, are you actually solving the right problem in a way that actually solves the thing? So made a career out of that. And in some ways, I feel like I do the same thing. It's just that I'm dealing with, instead of the messiness of business processes and technology systems, I'm focused more on the messiness of people. And in the 20 years that I was in corporate, more and more of my time was spent on things that the fancy corporate people would call like stakeholder management, internal relationship building. It's all the same stuff. It's dealing with messy ass people.
Yeah.
So now I just do that all the time.
I mean, that sounds great. I mean, that was kind of when I was in corporate, that was basically what I ended up doing, like project management, talking between, the people in the marketing department who are like, we kind of want this. And the engineers are like, we have to have 15 different steps to do that. It's going to take us 4 months. And I'm like, well, what about steps 7, 9, and 10? Do we really need those? Well, we've always done those. Well, think about it. Do we really? Maybe we could do it without those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I like to, I'm like, I can sell it. If you really need them, I can sell it, but I need to know why.
Yeah.
Just tell me. And it's always been that way. There's not an answer. So
Yeah.
what kind of stuff are you the most excited working on in your agency right now?
So I'm a frustrated, if you looked at my LinkedIn, you'll know I'm a frustrated designer / artist, philosopher person.
Bless your
So
heart.
what I love doing the most is just creating new companies and making logos for them. Yeah, it's just the best.
You make logos for fun? That's
For
so
fun.
cool.
I make logos. It's insane.
Most people's logos are terrible.
I know.
So
Yeah.
some of
I
my
know.
favorite TikTok content is people that tear apart bad logos. It makes me happy on the inside.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Because
I've
I'm
seen
not a
those ago now.
designer. I'm not a designer, but I've got a family member that is and teaches design, and she's great. Like
Mhm.
she teaches in a high school program, and one of her students in 2020 actually built my entire brand identity. Which
Amazing.
then people turned around and were like, "How much did you pay for that?" And I'm like, "Nothing. Actually paid $500. I gave the kid
Amazing.
$500 after he graduated. He wasn't allowed to take money while he was in school.
Oh, really?
And then he went and like got a degree on a full ride at the Casey Art Institute. So
Oh,
I had
are
like,
you from Kansas City? I forgot.
yeah, I'm over in Olathe. You're on the other side of town.
Oh, I'm going to Olathe all the time. I'll be there later today.
What are you doing over here?
My son got a job at T-Mobile Corporate.
Good for him.
Yeah, but he doesn't drive. So
you get to go tend to him. That's cool. Or not. You're giving me the I don't love driving face, but I love my son, but I
yes,
don't love this
I'm fine with
driving.
driving,
Oh,
but
I hate it.
every day, 9 to 5.
No.
Not a fan.
Pass. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm over in
But
Olathe.
that's cool. He got a scholarship to the Casey Art Institute. That's awesome.
Yeah, he did. He was wonderful and had us pick a jobs whenever he graduated. Where are you in Lee's Summit or something? Or did I dream that?
No,
Where are
I'm
you?
in the Northland.
Oh, okay. Well, neat. I have a
If I
client
was
that
in Lee
met.
Summit, huh?
Did I tell you that I have a client that found me on your podcast?
No, congratulations.
Yeah, I'll tell you after. I don't want to out the person, but I'll tell you
Yeah.
after we stop recording. But yeah, I was like, where did you hear about me from? And she said, oh, on a podcast. I'm like, which? I thought she meant she'd heard my podcast. And she's like, you have a podcast? No, you were on my friend's podcast or this other podcast. So
That's
cool.
That's so funny.
Isn't that interesting?
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you end up starting your community? Like we were emailing back and forth and you said something about you were trying to start a community up for corporate women that wanted to tap into creativity. Did that happen or am I thinking of the wrong person? I talked to a lot of people.
I'm definitely, that's where I'm going. That's
Cool.
where I'm going is basically, combating burnout and overwhelm with creativity, because I think that's the first thing to go when you get overwhelmed, right?
Yes, for sure.
Is the ability to tap into yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sometimes the only thing that keeps you sane. I have a friend named Mike Brennan who has made art almost every day for 14 years because he went to art school for college somewhere and he worked in graphic design. He's a great designer. And then he went into ministry, and for like 10 years he was in ministry and did almost no art because he was in the kids are little era and like all of that kind of stuff. And then at one point he left ministry, realized that he was, depressed, didn't have himself, and started what he calls his daily creative habit. And it's really good. He has a cool podcast. I'll send you a link to his podcast because I think you would enjoy listening to it. He's a good egg, and he's written a few books. He has a book called Dear Snow. I think the subtitle is One Man's Angry Rant Against Winter or something like that. It's hysterical.
So he lives locally? Is that what you're saying?
No, he grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
New York, New Jersey. He lives in Nashville now. He moved a couple of years ago because he wanted
Mhm.
to be around a different type of entrepreneurial community.
That makes
So
sense. Yeah, I mean, I lived in Boulder for so many years. It was a very different entrepreneurial community than there is here,
yeah,
for
it's a
real.
different vibe. The Kansas City, believe it or not, I have not tapped that much into the Kansas City entrepreneurial community
Mhm.
because I left to work full time as a coach just a little bit before COVID. And so I was figuring, I left in June of 2019. I left corporate and I spent a few months just decompressing from
Yeah.
working 1 million years, including a lot of toxic stuff. And then I was like, okay, and I knew I was going to work for myself. Like I decided I was just done. It was time to bet on me. So I did technology consulting a lot for the first year and a half. And then I realized I just can't anymore. So I gave up that and turned all my attention to coaching and speaking and training and things
Mhm.
like that. But by the time I really was hitting my stride, COVID hit. And I had figured out that I needed a community of people that were doing not corporate stuff. I needed to go
Right.
anti everything that I had been doing and learn people that were working in this solopreneur small business. I have a coaching or a consulting or I'm an author or a speaker or whatever. And
Mhm.
all the people I met were from out of town and it didn't matter for like 2 years. And then I was dealing with health stuff. And now I'm like, I should leave the house more. I should put on hard pants. Um, there's actually a woman. Are you familiar with the Digital Women KC group? Have you heard of this?
I think I looked it up on Meetup, but I don't know.
One of my friends is the president of it.
Oh,
So
yeah, okay. So
they
they must be
actually
cool.
are having a conference in September,
Yeah.
and yours truly is speaking at it. And it's like
Oh, well, I'll have to
79.
come to that.
It's like $79. It's really
Okay.
inexpensive. I'll send you a
Yeah.
link to it. So, guys,
Yeah.
this is what it's like to be on a networking call with me. I ask a bunch of questions and then I'm going to send like 7 links to her.
Yeah, just make sure you take notes. I went
I
to
got a
there
recording,
was
girl. I don't need to take notes.
oh, that's true. It'll take notes for you. I went to something at Union Station that was like small business, this or that, and they had people speaking, but I think I heard the first day was really good.
Yeah.
But I came on the second day and like there were a couple people speaking, but they have these great big classrooms and there was like 10 people in a room for 70.
You know what? That's depressing
It
for
was.
everyone.
It was sad.
Let me tell you an event that I went to that was surprisingly good.
Mm.
Um, well, surprise. I just didn't know very much about it. So I got approached. I actually moderated a panel at it. And then, I announced, because that's what we do when we're trying to get visibility. We tell people we're speaking at things and
Yeah.
whatnot. I found out from a friend of mine that had keynoted the event a year or two before, like, no, that event is a banger. You need to go to it. The Junior League has an event. It was in April this year.
I don't even
And
know what
like
that is. Is that
the
like a
Junior League is
Rotary?
basically like a service organization for women.
Okay.
And it's an international organization. Like one of my friends joined it, and I did a workshop for them like 3 years
Mhm.
ago or something on Clifton Strengths. But one of my friends is a member and was on the conference committee, and I got invited to moderate a panel on AI at work, which
Mm.
was pretty cool.
Mhm.
And I kind of got to share expertise on the panel too, instead of just moderating, because there were no other solopreneurs in there, and there were a few people in the audience that had that. But it
Right.
was a good event. It was one day. It's called C3KC, and it stands for community. It's like civic community.
Oh, the 3
I don't
C's.
know.
Mhm.
I don't remember what the 3 C's are for, but the
Yeah.
idea is to get people from different sectors together to talk about issues impacting the Kansas City Metro. So you'd have
There's so
government
many
people.
there's so many
It's
things happening here, it's just
We are far cooler than people give us credit for.
oh my gosh, I think that they found out though. I think we got
Oh my God, the whole world
outed.
found out. We
Yeah.
did get outed by the World Cup, which is awesome. I was a big fan of that. For a while, my favorite content on the internet was like random Algerians discovering burnt ends. That was really.
I found a guy who was like, he was like a French guy, you know, and he's walking around. He's like, "Oh, America, this stuff." And I looked up his other videos. He was not a French guy. He was
Oh
taking
no.
advantage of that.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I gotta love that like the Scots sent a traffic cone to Boston. That was really funny. The whole thing. And FIFA had a halftime show for the final.
I know. I
never had a
totally
halftime
missed
show.
it. Yeah, I totally missed it.
It's on YouTube.
Okay, I'll have to look that up.
It's on YouTube. It's like 12 minutes long, and you don't have to watch the soccer part. So
well, I like the soccer part, although I already know what happens now.
I'm not really into the soccer part, but I do enjoy that Electric Mayhem was part of the halftime show, aka the band from the Muppets. For those of you that are not familiar.
Oh, Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem.
Oh yeah, Animal playing. Oh yeah, Animal. Fozzie was missing. I thought Fozzie was in that band.
I hear he's in Florida.
Oh my God. This is fun.
Playing the circuit in Florida.
I think eventually I got to go back to work. I don't know about you, but I got to tell you what, I wrote some stuff down and I want to ask you about it, kind of the close. We started talking about content creation and I would love to end talking about it. So we produce a lot. When you produce a podcast, even if you don't go hard, that by definition is a lot of content. Like if you're doing a podcast every week, it's a lot of content.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about creating for an audience versus creating conversation? Because I think that this is like this is the battle that people are going through when they think about doing a podcast or any other type of social media content, but they don't want to be gross. So when you are doing your podcast, are you thinking about how do I make my audience the most interested or pull in more audience more? Or are you thinking about how do I have the most interesting conversation for me and the other person more? Or like, how do you think about that?
Truthfully, I mean, as I'm writing synopses for these little synopses, for these little clips, like I kind of go in between. I tend to definitely pick dramatic moments. And the woman who turned sideways, like she told.
I mean, that's hysterical.
That was hysterical, but she told a story about how her husband used to do April Fool pranks on her every year. And he had her sign herself into a mental institution, and she thought it was a April Fool's prank. She was literally having a psychotic break. I mean, so like it's not like it was malicious or anything. But that got so much traction because it was like, holy
it's amazing. Crap. It's amazing for that. And I wasn't even thinking about the clips part of it. When I do a clip, I'm just trying to find something. I am trying to find tension, and I'm trying to make my guests look good. I have a friend that
always. Yeah.
He's like a YouTube and digital influence expert. And he hollered at me and he's like, you need to pull more clips that make you look smart. And I was like, but I want my friend Karen to look smart. And he's like, two things can be true at the same time, Diana. Come on.
Yeah, no, so, I'm really pulling like the most dramatic moments because I know that those are going to get views and I know that people are going to get value from them because like, I'm talking about mold, how mold gets in your, I've started, making these more hooky titles for the clips, mold in your body, and the woman who
you don't
talks
want
about
that.
it is like, huh?
You don't want mold in your body.
No,
spoiler alert.
You don't want mold in your body. But this woman, she was a theoretical physicist. Again, backstory. I didn't even know what that was.
Right.
But
that's
like, so yeah. It's
so you are trying to find things that are going to be a moment of tension. Yeah. I like to just see I feel like I'm throwing spaghetti at a wall, but
Hmm.
not in a bad way.
But you're
I
not
feel
looking
like,
at analytics, right?
I mean, you can, just by virtue of notifications on your device, you figure
Right,
out
right.
if some things
You have
hit. So
notifications on? Oh my God.
some things get,
Yeah,
TikTok does not get notifications on because you never know what the
yeah,
hell is going to
God,
happen over
no.
there.
No.
I love TikTok. It is my
I know, me
second
too.
favorite platform right now,
Yeah,
but
I love it
I
too.
can't have the red bubbles on TikTok. I can't do it. Mostly
No.
because comments, honestly, because of my comments. I had a comment I made on something like yesterday or the day before that has like 7,000 hearts on it. I'm like, I don't need I don't I don't need all that on my phone because I'm
No.
like a no red bubbles kind of person. I can't.
What's red bubbles?
Red bubbles on your phone, like with number in it. Like you have stuff to do.
Oh,
To me,
okay. I know what you mean.
if I look at my email box and it has a red bubble with a 7 in it, that means that I have 7 things to do.
Right,
So,
right.
and 6 of them are going to be deleting, which is awesome. Can I throw out do you have a question, like a standard question that you ask on every episode? I have one before we close, but do you have anything like that as part of your show?
My standard question is, so how do people normally work with you?
Oh, okay.
That's my
I'll
standard
answer
question.
that, and then you can
Yeah.
answer it too, and then I'll ask
Okay.
mine. So I work with people mostly one-on-one. I do occasionally do workshops and things like that. And I have a lot of free content out there, even above the podcast. So if someone is looking for a coach, whether it is for help with the job search / resume or with like ongoing career development, and even I do some small business consulting, any of that's going to make their work life better. The best thing to do is go to dianaalt.com, and there's a book intro call button there, and you can get on my calendar and we can talk about it. What about you? I also have a newsletter. So if you go to my website and hit the green Let's Connect button, you'll get on that. You'll get the podcast announcements and my very entertaining weekly emails. What about you? How do people work with you?
People normally work with me either through, obviously the podcast. I mean, it's more of a connection kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I found it to be infinitely useful when people are like, oh, who's Karen? And then I'm sure people say, who's Diana? And they look up and they're like, oh, I get
it.
what your vibe is. Really, the best way to connect with me is through my website. It's Spiezz, because I cannot buy spiezz.com.
Good gravy. So
It's
crazy.
Too expensive. So I work a lot with people on branding, websites. I've traditionally worked with a lot of small businesses, moving more now into kind of what I'm doing with the podcast, which is talking with people about what their transitions are and how those are working for them, and
That's
kind of
cool,
supporting them.
especially in a business, because when there's nothing harder than the only thing harder than starting a business is pivoting an existing business, I think. So
It's so hard.
If you can become like the pivot specialist marketing person, like that's a big deal, because it's hard marketing and it's hard operationally. Well, that's cool. Well, my last question that I always ask everyone and hopefully get a good clip out of is, what's the worst piece of career advice you've ever received?
The worst piece of career advice I've ever received. I think the worst piece of career advice was something I gave myself, which is when I was.
Yes, this is juicy. Go for it.
When I was really, really burnt out, when I'd been through a couple of rounds of new directors, and I was like, just buckle down, it'll get better. All this once the project is over, it will get better.
Once the project is over, there's going to be another project, is really what happens. So
yeah,
I do have a tip on that for people that are listening. If they felt that way, I got this from a friend years ago that said he had a 6-month rule. And he was a highly talented software engineer and architect. Like this guy, especially at the time he told me about it, he could raise his hand on a Monday saying, I want a new job, and have like a killer new job making a shit ton more money by Friday. He's that guy.
Mm.
But he didn't want to be too reactionary. So he created a 6-month rule and said, from the date I'm really feeling like unhappy, not just like this is annoying, but like, I don't know that this works anymore. He will literally put a reminder on his calendar for 6 months from then to say like, are you still unhappy? And if he is, then and only then would he start a job search. Wow. And I thought that was so good, because if it's not resolved in 6 months, or you haven't been able to figure out how to take whatever is wrong and like change your own self to make it work, so change can happen either way, you or the company,
right.
Then it's not gonna, or it's time to cut your losses. I thought that was great. Well,
6 months is a long time.
Well, I mean, pick a number though, but it keeps you from like doing the ugly quit or whatever. So make it 3 months, make it whatever, but like pick an amount of time that is a little bit of delayed gratification for that. Unless it's like, if you have an ethics problem, if people are going to go to jail, like
they quit immediately.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Karen. I'm so glad we get to do this, and the world gets twice as much, because we're going to release these the same week. See how that goes. It's a fun experiment. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
And I hope everybody sticks around. Go listen to Second Wind Women.
Yes,
good show.
Listen more to Diana's. I was checking out your, all your podcasts, and I was like, damn, I don't have enough time to listen to all these.
Well, you don't have to listen to all of them. I will curate a recommended list for you. And once I'm done, I'll give you some suggestions.
That'd be lovely.
That's it, guys. We'll see you next time.